Welcome to Living in Greenville, South Carolina. We're going to bring you everything Greenville, Greater Greenville, Upstate of South Carolina. Be sure to like and subscribe, and please comment. Let us know what kind of videos you want to see. We're going to put them on here. Thanks so much for being a part of this, and welcome to Living in Greenville, South Carolina. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Living in Greenville, South Carolina. And part of our channel here, we're going to bring you all sorts of information. So I have a special guest with me today. I'm so excited. This is Lauren Duty with Movement Mortgage out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. But Lauren, I'm going to let you tell them just a little bit all about you, and you're going to tell us all the places you're licensed, so you're not limited to one area.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Tammy. No, I'm not limited. I'm actually licensed in 4 states. A lot of people in the area like to venture over into some of our neighboring states. And so I'm licensed in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee. So
that is correct.
Looking around the area, not quite sure where, I can keep you covered. But if not, if you're moving out of the area, we can get you to someone that otherwise as well. We've got people all over the country.
That is fantastic. Well, Lauren is a dear friend of mine. We go years back, really, because our daughters actually took dance together, which was so cool. And I think you were certainly in the real estate industry then as a mortgage broker then. I was a little later coming to the party, but so glad I'm in it now, and so glad that we reconnected, not only personally, but through business as well. So this was so exciting. So what I want to talk to everyone about today, let's talk about the state of our market, especially in the Greenville Spartanburg market. But, I want you to speak generally about whatever you can share and some great tips that you might have on buying a home or selling a home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right now, it's actually a market full of opportunity. A lot of people may disagree. And I'm going to tell you why I feel that way is because the past 2 years, everybody looks at the rates, which were historically low, and things were like in a frenzy. And you might have buyers out there, they're going up after house after house after house with multiple offers, having to waive contingencies and all sorts of things. So it was definitely a very seller-driven market. Right now, people have taken a little bit of a calming, more normalizing type stance in the market. We don't remember prior to 2020 when things were more normal, but things are moving back that way. And so people have kind of that frenzy has stopped, and it really has opened the door for buyers who have been looking or may have gotten frustrated to go in and be able to look at houses and just feel comfortable in making an offer. They're not as worried about 15 people offering on the same house. So it's a huge opportunity for them. And I will tell you one other thing that I would point out in this is that because there's opportunity for these clients to have a little more negotiation and such, is that rates have risen, but we need to talk about the idea of how about the buyer maybe paying some concessions to buy down a rate. That can be very helpful.
Yeah, the seller for the buyer.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, the seller paying for the buyer to buy down the rate. There's several options to look at from that perspective that can really help make the buyer more comfortable.
That is tremendous. That's almost like foreign to us now. For the short time that we had it, that became the norm of we can't ask for closing costs anymore. We can't ask for this. We have to waive inspections. I mean, we were giving up everything for buyers, or well, I was trying not to, but a lot of times if we wanted to get the house, there were certain things we were having to do. So it's a little bit of a relief that now the buyers do have a little bit more power in this again, I would say.
They do.
And like what you're saying, I think what I saw as a realtor in this market, and you saw as a mortgage lender, that buyers were having to go so far over the asking price.
Yes.
And is it going to appraise? Do we have to waive appraisal? I mean, there were a lot of things going on. So we're seeing that fairly normalized as well, right?
Right. It does appear that things feel, on my end at least, a lot more like the normal world. We're seeing contracts with seller concessions, so sellers are jumping in and paying some closing costs now. We're not hearing as many of those frenzied multiple offers like highest and best by this time. Whenever I'm talking to clients, they're feeling a lot more confident in their offer going in. So it's a good time to be buying.
That's so true.
And you know what else?
Yes.
You know, it is that there's always people buying houses. So go ahead and make that move, because honestly, the other thing that we're hearing is that they're projecting in the next year or two, rates are going to fall. So you know what's going to happen, because everything's cyclical, right?
That's right.
Everybody's going to refinance. Yeah. So get that house now while you have the opportunity.
This is definitely, it's a shift in the market, but I heard you say a second ago, kind of one thing I've been saying a lot, and that is that it's normalizing again.
Yes.
So let's help sellers understand this now. Let's help sellers who are saying, oh, but my house value's gone down. That's not exactly the case, right?
Right. So house value is based on sales. Whenever a house is appraised, they're not looking at what the neighbor priced their house at down the street. They're not looking at other listings. They're looking at actual sold houses. And so it's a hard concept, because there's been so much out there with people talking, but you would have to have enough of those offering way over to get that price. So you just have to be realistic. And that's where people like you, who are experts in the real estate market, come in, because you can help guide a seller to understand the true worth of their home.
That's right. And that's one thing I've been sharing with sellers, is that no, your home hasn't lost value. There was a little bit of a false inflating of value. There were a lot of things going on in the market. Let me say, there were a lot of different elements. There wasn't just one thing it tended to push up some of those prices. And like we said, there was this frenzy. It was like a feeding frenzy, and everybody's trying to get in there and get the same house. And, we're showing houses to people, and we're one of 15 walking into the house at the same time, which was just so weird. That was so foreign to us. Yeah. So, I've been trying to help sellers understand that, this is really more of a normal market, and really what your home is worth. And it's still worth a good amount. They've still got great equity, most likely, as well.
Real estate is such a great investment. I will tell you one thing that I read the other day, just again, why you need to buy a house is, did you realize that the net worth wise, that the average homeowner's net worth is over $300,000 as compared to the average renter's net worth of $8,000. Wow. So buy a house, get started. I mean, that is such a big piece of your financial future.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And instead of paying someone else and making them rich, when you're renting, paying your landlord, one of our agents, Sean Cochran out of Chicago, actually coined the hashtag SMYLR, I think, and that's stop making your landlord rich. Yes. He really started that trend. And that's so true. Stop making your landlord rich, and definitely home ownership is the way to go. You're investing in yourself.
Absolutely. And every payment, the principal part of your payment is actually like a little bank account for you. You're just putting it away for yourself.
That's exactly right. So speaking of that, maybe you can give us some ideas and speak, we're talking about selling and people maybe considering selling their home, and there could be a home out there that they really want to buy. So if they're going to sell their home now, what would you encourage sellers to do? Like maybe a little while ago, you mentioned paying down a rate for a buyer. That might be a cool incentive. So
if they're trying to sell the house, that is a way to make things more attractive. I find right now, some buyers, not all, but some buyers, just where things moved up quickly this year, have gotten a little bit nervous. And so they start questioning themselves. So often I feel like if they could get into the house maybe a little bit more with a little lower payment, because that's really what they had in their mind. They started out at this payment. And if you can get them closer to that, I think it makes them more comfortable. So it's just a really good tool for the sellers. It helps them out in moving the property, but it also helps the buyer out. It's almost like it's a way to make them feel more comfortable with the transaction, so that they can get in more at that level that they were expecting.
And, based on the pricing of the house for the seller, the buyer can also, maybe they offer that amount to the seller over the
Yes.
asking price, which is a great way to say, hey, we really want this house. We really love it. We're going to pay this over. And then the seller's able to give that money back to them. So that's a really good.
Yeah. Those concessions, literally, if the buyer doesn't need them to pay the closing costs, those are a great tool to buy that rate down.
That's true. That's really true. And so one thing that you had shared with us not long ago, we do a lot of lunch and learns together. And we do learn so much from you, Lauren. You're so knowledgeable. I depend on you as a friend and mortgage lender to keep me on track with where we are, in the market. And you had mentioned something about the rates and like where the rates have been all, over the last, maybe, I don't know, back into the 70s, how the rates now are still actually good.
Yes, I have to laugh now. I'm not going to give my age away here, but my first home was at 8%. So, when people say to me,
I can relate.
Goodness, I can't believe the rates are 7 or 6.5. I'm just thinking, wow, I was at 8%. And at the time felt really good about it because you know what? Back in the 70s, wasn't it? They were in the teens.
That's
my
exactly
goodness.
right.
My parents bought houses at those rates, and nobody thought anything of it. It's just what was necessary at the time. So, again, real estate appreciates. You're making money. It's just, I think people get in the spirit of trying to compare it to a rent payment or compare it to, it's not. It's an investment in yourself. You have the appreciation. You also have the money that you're setting aside through your payments. So it's just a big wealth building tool.
That's exactly right. It's so true that it's always good to invest in real estate. It's always good, I believe. And they do say that you make your money on an investment in real estate when you buy it. But I still think you can buy it right, especially in the Greenville, the Spartanburg area. Our market, even through 2008, now I was not in real estate at that time, but I was buying houses and selling houses. And, Greenville, I think, fared a little better than Spartanburg, but still the whole area overall was not as devastated as some parts of the country. I was amazed with Greenville through that, certainly in the Greater Greenville area. What are your thoughts on that? Do you remember?
I do remember, and it was a very, very different time. But the one thing about even those times in history, even if you end up on the shorter end, is that we have a history of recovery. It's whenever you look over time, whenever you have dips, you gain it back. It's sort of like looking at the stock market. When we have these big falls, don't get out. That's your opportunity. Keep going, so stay in, don't sell, keep moving. That from a stock perspective, we've seen it happen many times. We've seen it happen in real estate as well. And like you said, it's always a good investment. If you have a year or two or a month or two where it goes down, I like following values on houses, and they're just like anything else. They fluctuate a little bit if you're trying to follow something online. But overall, the trend is upward. And so, it's just a great tool. And of course, there are actually people coming into the market just to buy real estate here in the upstate of South Carolina, for an investment, investment purposes. And so to me, that speaks volumes as well.
It really does. You're right. And I think a lot of people that are watching this that don't know about the Greenville Spartanburg area may not understand the oomph that we have in this area because of BMW manufacturing.
Yes.
That's such a huge part of our community. So a brief history real quickly to those of you that don't know. So BMW manufacturing moved here to actually Greer in the Spartanburg County side of Greer, but very close, like right between Spartanburg and Greenville. And they came here I believe they opened officially in about 1993. So we're coming up on 30 years this year. And so that's pretty exciting. And I actually just read something yesterday that they ran the 6 millionth car on the line took it off the line. It was this amazing, like lime green color, and it'll never be sold. It's going to be put into the BMW museum at the Zentrum here at the plant in
Wow,
Greer,
that's
South
awesome.
Carolina. Yeah. So if you're a BMW enthusiast, you have to get to this area and check out the plant, the performance center, and also the Zentrum and the museum. But Lauren, with that, we know that we've got that as a I don't know, a boost to our economy in this area.
Yes.
When BMW came in, all of those suppliers have moved
Yes.
in. BMW is still expanding. It's an incredible industry that we have in this area. So let's talk about that, our economy in general, about how that's what makes this such a great place to live.
It does. It does. And you are right. BMW is a huge boom to our economy. But we just, economically speaking, I always feel like this area does so well. We just have so much to offer, even just from the perspective of we have a lot of, in this particular area, we have a lot of higher education. We have the beach 3 hours one way. We have the mountains an hour up the road. We're close to Charlotte. We're close to Atlanta. We're just in such an amazing area, just situated just perfectly. So I think that plays into it as well, because if you're somebody coming in and looking at a place to relocate your plant, we have great workforce. We have just a beautiful area. We just have a lot to offer.
I so agree. I agree with you, because I think that's why I love living here so much. Like you say, really within 3 hours, you could do anything you want to do.
Yes.
Most of the year. Well, okay, maybe not most. Like snow skiing, maybe
Yes.
not in 3 hours right now, but 3 hours in the winter, we could be within.
Yeah, when you want to snow ski, it's there.
That's right. That's exactly right. And closer even than 3 hours.
Yes.
There's some that are even closer. Like you say, Atlanta. So the huge cities are close by, the medium-sized metropolitan cities like Charlotte, it's close by, just about anything you could want. So when folks are moving here, what if they wanted like a second home here? What are some options if they're not coming in as cash buyers and they want to look at a mortgage with you? Like, what sort of loans are good for second homes, and what are some of those rules around that?
Yeah, so as a second home, you're looking at a conventional purchase, and a second home is great, especially, we do have people do that a lot in the area. Like they may have family who lives here and they like to come for a few months out of the year. And even some of the areas that are just more on the scenic side, you might have somebody buy property on Lake Kiwi, or you might have somebody looking for something more in the mountains, a lot of different things. But to do a second home, you're looking at a 10% down payment minimum. So that's something to keep in mind. And of course, you've got your home elsewhere. So you have to have the ability, obviously, to keep up both homes. But it's a great option for people, and it gives them the ability to keep both. And who knows, in the future, they may want to come here and make this their final home at some point and decide to retire here. But yeah, 10% down payment is a conventional loan, and it's a great way to get in.
Fantastic. So what about, let's talk a little bit, we talked about this earlier. Are there some options, some creative options, going back to buyers just for a minute, on other ways that they can lower rates? Like, are assumable loans something that they could look at, or I don't know, are there any other tools?
So there are assumable loans. We haven't seen that in a long time, but who knows? Right now, with things the way they are, it may come up again. So some other things, we talked a little bit about discount points earlier, but there's another type of buy down, so to speak. A discount point is like a permanent buy down. There are something we call temporary buy downs, where you can really get a bigger dip in the rate the first couple of years. They're typically paid for out of a seller or builder concession, but it actually would allow buyers to get in at 2% below their note rate the first year, 1% below their note rate for the second year, and then revert to the actual note rate the third year. That's called a 2-1 temporary buy down. There's one other option we have available that's a 1-0 buy down, and that would be 1 year with a buy down, and it would be 1% below note rate. But stop and think about that. Whenever you're thinking discount points, if somebody's paying a couple of points, they're probably going to get maybe 5/8 of a point, maybe 3/4. It really depends on the day in terms of price break on their rate. if you're looking at one of these buy downs, like a 2-1 temporary buy down, let's say today the rate was 7%, that client would get their first year at 5%, their second year at 6%, and then the third year it would revert to 7%. Cool thing about that is it gives them time to kind of wade in and get used to the payment. But again, refinancing, if rates do dip below 5% next year, they're going to refinance. It's just like everybody did the past few years. So that's another tool to help them get in and get comfortable and feel good about where they're at. You have to qualify at that higher rate, but a lot of times it's just more about the mindset and the payment. So that's an option for them as well.
That is really great. And, that brings me to something that I heard someone talking about the other day, and I love this. They say, marry the house, not the rate. Date the rate, I should say. Yes. Marry the house, date the rate. And I think that is such an incredible concept, because when you think about that, you find a home that you absolutely love, right? You've fallen in love with this home. Oh, I have a 7% interest rate. I'm not going to buy it. Well, no. Buy the house, buy it at the 7%, like you're saying. And then when it goes down a couple of points or something, maybe next year, whenever it happens, refinance. You're not married to that rate.
Exactly. And, you could probably, if you had a big auditorium of current homeowners who've owned a home for at least 5 years, and you said to them, how many of you refinanced in 2020 and 2021? There's going to be a huge number of people who are going to raise their hand because that's just the nature of the market. One thing nice that we do relative to that is, because Movement actually services our loans, we do have a department that helps us keep an eye on that. Of course, as loan officers, we keep an eye on it and like to keep people informed and up to date. But we actually also have a dedicated area that's watching that as well. So your clients can feel confident that somebody's got their eye on that to reach out to people whenever rates do start falling.
That is amazing. Well, Lauren, I think we're about to wrap up. And I just wanted to maybe have you summarize real quickly, what are some of the advantages to using Movement Mortgage and coming to you for their loans? Tell some of those advantages. I think you've got like the quick underwriting and all that good stuff, getting us to the closing table.
Yes. We're known for getting things done and done efficiently. And that's really what it's about. For me personally, I like to make myself available. Our company is amazing. We have a process. We call it 671. And what it is a 6-hour underwrite, 7-day processing, 1 day to close. So it's more or less turning things around very, very quickly. And have we done that? Yeah, I've done that with clients before. It's not your everyday deal, but we can close them fast. So that's one nice thing. The upfront underwrite is nice. Where it's needed is especially, whenever you have people with maybe a little sticky situation, you definitely want to take that extra step. But it's great to get things underwritten up front and provide your documents so that you just, even when you're what we would call a slam dunk deal, it just makes you feel just like you're coasting through the process as the buyer, which is really nice. But the final thing I'll say about our company that I love the most, and it's actually the reason that I am at Movement, is that our company gives back. We are not we give back. Our monies are not for our profits. They are put into the Movement Foundation. We just opened our 4th Movement School. So whenever you look at our company, we're looking at ways to give back. And so that's what's most important to me about Movement.
That is fantastic. We'll talk more soon, hopefully, about the Movement School. That sounds amazing. Well, gosh, I can't thank you enough for your time today. Thank you for your information. This has been so helpful. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, how should they get in touch with you?
My cell phone number is 864-706-5176. So please feel free to call me. My website is mylenderlauren.com, MYLENDERLAUREN.com. So would love to talk with anyone. And it's been a pleasure, Tammy. You always do a great job.
Thank you so much, Lauren. You did a great job as well. And you're always my go-to expert on everything mortgages for sure. And I look forward to having coffee again soon. So
Yes.
everyone, I hope you've enjoyed this. This is a great informative time. Lauren is a great resource for you. So be sure to like and comment below. Again, in the comments, please tell us more about what you liked about this video and other videos you might like to see here on living in Greenville, South Carolina. And hey, hope to see you living in South Carolina. Have a great day.
Thank you.